Hello everyone, welcome to the battery torture test. I'd like to first start up by showing you which batteries we'll be testing today, and then go on to explain a little bit about the setup and how we're going to be doing it. So the poor victims of today's test are going to be one, the Multistar from Hobby King. This is a 40 to 80C battery. It's a 1400. Then the next is the one which started these tests, which is the Turnigy Graphene 4S, obviously 65C discharge. Never mind the focus, I'll show you just now. Next is the fantastic Dronefactory battery. I also have to give a big shout out to Dronefactory.ch for sending me some batteries for testing. They in fact sent me 2 batteries, which I'll show you just now, and they also sent me a whole lot of these really cool stickers so that when you've done your flying, you can then set it to empty, so that if you keep them in the same bag, they will, you know which ones you can still use. Next is going to be the Tattu 1300 75C. Also a really good battery. I like this one a lot. Then I purchased this one from FPVRacing.ch. This is a 1350 75C 150C burst mode. Also very good for flying. I haven't had any problems with that. Then next we've got the Dronefactory Graphene ADC. This battery is mad. It's very snappy. It's fantastic. Highly recommend it. This is one of the ones sent by Dronefactory for testing. Unbiased test, of course. I'm just going to be testing it as I would any other battery, but it is sent in by Dronefactory. And then one more is the high voltage HV cell from Dronefactory as well. Also 1300 ADC, which is also sent in for testing. So a little bit on the C ratings of batteries. I'm sure many of you know right now what a C rating means, but I've just gone and mapped it out and drawn it out, and what essentially it does is it depends on the capacity and the C rating. So for example, this Multistar has a C rating of 40 to 80, so it should do 56 amps continuous with max of 112 amps. And that gives a power of 1800 watts. The Turnigy Graphene has a C rating of 65 to 130, which means it has a should deliver continuous amps of 84.5 amps, no problem, with max of 169 amps. That's 2,839 watts of power. Don't know why it doesn't focus on the graphene. Sorry about that. Next, Dronefactory. It is supposed to deliver 97.5 amps continuous at 75C. That's 3,200 watts. Same for the Tattu, which is a 1300 75C battery. The FPVRacing.ch is a 1350. Therefore, it would deliver. It should deliver 104 amps continuous and 208 amps burst. That is 3,497 watts. The Dronefactory Graphene ATC discharge battery should deliver 104 amps continuous, 208 burst, and that's 3,619 watts, which is just absurd. Sorry, 3,497 watts. This one is why people are using high voltages, because of the wattage. I mean, this one is normally maximum 17.4 volts, so that's 3,619 watts of power out of this little thing here. No wonder they sometimes explode in terms of laptop batteries and such. So let me quickly go through the setup and then we'll get started. We've got one voltmeter or multimeter measuring the voltage across the shunt. The shunt is an upgraded version of the one I used in the previous video. It is a known gauge of wire, 18 gauge in this case, a known length of wire, and therefore I know the voltage drop across it, and it's calibrated with the exact length to give me 1 millivolt per amp. I've also done tests with it using the ammeter at a set level, so up to 10 amps I can measure with this, and I did check and it is very, very accurate. It showed 10 amps here, and it also showed 10 amps or 10 millivolts across the shunt. Let me show you, there it is there, and it was surprisingly accurate. The next one will show you the actual voltage, the yellow one. The oscilloscope will also show you the voltage, but it's in roll mode, so you'll just see it dip off as the battery is drained. Here's our test subjects. Here's the 3 motors doing the torture test. They are 2206 2350 kV luminaire motors, with 2 bullnose and 1 normal tri-blade prop to really stress these batteries to the max. The ESCs, there's 2 KISS ESCs and 1 Lumiere 24 amp, whatever it is. And one more thing, we've got an Arduino running a little program here, which cycles through various modes to do the testing. So this, you will be able to see what's coming up next, and I will record the values, and then later on we can make our judgments on the values themselves. When the test goes, keep in mind it's going to be quite noisy. It generates a lot of wind. This is not a thrust test, this is a static test bed. It's really solid because this really does generate a lot of thrust. So let's get started with the first battery. All right. So for the first battery test, I'm gonna reset that, and this is the Turnigy Multistar. Off we go. Remember, this is amps, this is volts. So as the test starts, it goes for 15 seconds maximum, and then it tapers off, then it does another 10-second or 7-second or something burst at maximum, and just before the end I can see in the editing program I can synchronize it and take the readings of the minimum voltage at that point and the maximum current that's being delivered. So for example, now with the Multistar I take the reading now, and it's 76 amps and 12.86 volts. Now plugging that into the battery sheet, the testing sheet, it's got a C rating continuous rating of 40. The actual max that was coming out of that battery for that sustained period was 76 amps. The lowest voltage was 12.82, so the power that was delivered was 974 watts maximum. The actual C rating, therefore, over that period of time was 54.2. which is quite good because at least they didn't overrate it like most battery manufacturers do. Okay, that battery did pretty well. It is hot. Ow, it's really hot. The battery's actually suffering a bit. So let's put that one aside. And let's do the next one. Okay. So, the next battery is the Graphene, and let's reset this counter. So the Graphene is an interesting battery. It delivers a good punch, but I think these batteries, I haven't used them very much, maybe 20 flights or so, but they're already drooping quite fast. You can see on the oscilloscope how the line just drops right down, which is interesting. It's almost linear, how it just goes down. But it does recover relatively fast once the max stops. So the graphene was taken and it was a max actual current of 82 amps at that point. The lowest voltage was 13.23, so 1086 amps, watts of power. So doing the calculation, the actual C rating is 63 C. It's rated at 65. I think that's fair enough. Let's give it the benefit of the doubt, considering that it's a little bit of an older battery already. So it is a good battery. However, considering how much heavier it is than other high C rated batteries or graphenes, I still think there's other choices, although the price is pretty good. So you've just got to weigh that up for yourself and see if that's important to you, the weight versus the price versus what you can get elsewhere. Good. That was the graphene. It did well. It's definitely hot, but definitely not as hot as the poor old Multistar. Okay, next is the Dronefactory 75C. This one should be delivering a constant current of 97 amps and a max of 195. This rig won't draw 195 amps. So let's go. Okay, so the Dronefactory battery did quite well. It is rated at 75C. It delivered 81 amps maximum and dropped to 13.14 volts, which was quite low in my opinion. But nevertheless, it recovered quite fast, delivered 1064 watts of power. So the actual C rating for this particular battery is 62C. So a little bit underrated, but such is life. You can see that it recovers voltage rather fast, which is good. I find these batteries quite punchy. It's a good mix of how much they cost and how well they perform. On the ramp test, it doesn't drop much voltage, it's good. Okay. Voltage is recovering nicely. Not bad, not bad. Battery is warm to the touch. It's quite warm. It's a bit puffy. Did well. Next, Tattu. Let's go. Let's just check these guys. Everything's cool here. Motors are cool. Yes, these are cool. Good. Alright. Once again, the Tattu should be the same as the Dronefactory battery. Let me just move this glare. It should deliver about 97 amps. So the Tattu used to be my favorite battery, but I've flown it a little bit now and it hasn't aged very well. Maybe it's got about 30 flights in it, probably less, probably about 20-25 flights. And you can see the voltage drops off quite a bit. It delivered, when I took the reading, it was delivering 79 amps. The voltage dropped to 12.97 volts, so only 1024 watts of power. So the actual C rating of the Tattu is 60 C. It's advertised at 75 with a burst of 150. Here in this long max, you can see the voltage drop quite a bit. Mid, it recovers quite nicely. remember, I take the readings at the same point on each battery, and then it just goes through the rest of the stress test. Alright, that was the Tattu. It is also warm to the touch, as with the rest of them. You've got to feel sorry for your batteries when you fly, honestly. I don't think they were ever intended to be flown like this. Okay, next we have the FPVRacing.ch 75C 1350. Because of the larger capacity of the battery, it should deliver 101 amps continuous, 202 burst. Once again, I can't draw 202 with this setup. But let's go. All these batteries are always charged to max, by the way, before we start the test. So the FPVRacing.ch battery is slightly larger capacity, therefore the C rating being a function of both the current and the capacity is then it's rated at 75C. It delivered 81 amps max, and the voltage dropped to 13.29. This battery is brand new, never been used before. So some may say that this test is not really fair, but I don't think a battery should stop delivering so quickly. I mean, you buy them and you should get at least 100 very good flights out of them. So regardless, the actual C rating of this battery was 60, which is much in line with the Tattu. The Dronefactory and the Graphene are a little bit higher at the moment. You have to remember that if you were to fly at maximum, like this test shows, for 10 seconds, you'd be so high up. I mean, you'd be, with flying mini quads, you're always changing the throttle up and down, so it's never at max all the time. So all of these batteries are performing very well for real world scenarios. We're just trying to stress them the most we can. Okay, that was FPVRacing.ch. Also warm. Alright, next. Dronefactory.ch Graphene ATC. This is the high C rating out of the normal voltage batteries. So let's go with you. It should deliver 104 amps continuous. So the Dronefactory Graphene is a really nice battery. It's the same size as the normal Dronefactory batteries, but it delivers way more punch. So when I took the readings, it was 82 amps maximum, but the voltage only dropped to 13.35 volts, delivering 1094 watts of power, 1095. So the actual C rating of this graphene battery was 63C for the Dronefactory Graphene. It's quite a bit more expensive, but I would imagine that in general what's going to happen is that all the batteries are going to be high capacity or high C ratings in the end, and there's not going to be this where you have to choose between what you want and how much you would like to pay. I think the battery technology is getting better and better, so that's good for all of us. This battery wasn't warm, and I think that's an important factor as well. It wasn't warm at all. Alright, good one. It's noticeably cooler than the others. It's really not warm at all, so this battery did very well. And last, but definitely not least, is the high voltage also ATC from Dronefactory. This one, disclaimer, I only charge to 4.3 volts per cell and not 4.35, but it should still give you an idea. So there you go, 17 volts. Let's see what happens with this. Okay, so this high voltage battery is supposed to deliver 66C, and when I took the measurement it was 86 amps, and the voltage only dropped to 13.71, so that means 1179 watts of power, which is insane, which is an absurd amount. So these are certainly more jumpy, more peppy, as you would say, but something is about to happen, and I apologize, and I can repeat the test. I have a watt meter now, but one of the wires from the ESC right. Oh, looks like that test was cut off. One of the wires of the ESC has melted off. The motors are still cold, but the ESC seems to have lost a wire. Alright, you saw, maybe you saw enough, it did peak at over 100 amps being drawn by the setup. The PDB is actually warm. Makes you wonder when you fly. Anyway, so let's go and draw a conclusion of all of this. So in conclusion, I'd like to say that the batteries, first of all, are we using large enough wires for these high capacity batteries on our, first of all, the cable going from the mini quad to the PDB. Secondly, can the PDB handle the current capacity that we are drawing? But in general, there's going to be some losses. You have to strike a compromise between weight and how much current you want to deliver, and you also have to remember that you're not flying at maximum all the time. So although these batteries can deliver an insane amount, that's more for the sustained duration of the flight and not necessarily for punch outs that last 20 seconds. You fly, the throttle's up and down, so it is certainly a balancing act. In conclusion, the high voltage from Dronefactory was the best battery I have tested. Then again, it is a high voltage LiPo, so maybe they'll all go this direction, I don't know. The next was the Graphene from Dronefactory, which was rated at, which gave me 63C. The others, the FPV Racing and the Tattu, were lower, they were only 60C. The Dronefactory normal and the Turnigy Graphene also delivered, they did quite well. Remember that the Turnigy Graphene is a lot larger and heavier. So my best battery from a price and from a punch perspective are currently the Dronefactory 75C 4S 1300s, and then if money was no option, I would definitely get more of the Dronefactory Graphenes and the high voltage. So I've got a watt meter now. It arrived today. I will be performing more tests. Remember, if people want to send me batteries to test, I'd be to put them through the same process, the rigorous process. So thanks very much for watching, and goodbye.